Going to go ahead and jump into the Aaron Rodgers news so we can get the draft to get a little bit further in. Man, so this was a lot of interesting news coming out this week that are actually pretty much fresh off the press. Aaron Rodgers has pretty much said, when this is done, I'm done and you won't see me. Meaning that he's going to be
a bar, boy. That boy dropped a bar. Hold on. Read that again. Read that again for the audience in the back, baby.
Yeah, there we go. When this is done, I'm done and you won't see me. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. He seems like he's all of a sudden kind of made a change of pace and a change of character, I suppose, after all the drama that was going on. Is he going to sign? Is he not going to sign? Well, it looks like he's being pretty transparent. And he also said on the Pat McAfee show that Pittsburgh did not need to give me any extra deals, any extra years. I think this is going to be it for us. BC, man, do you really believe that this is it for Aaron Rodgers? And if it is, what do you think of it?
I mean, I pretty much think it is. I think the Jets years kind of showed us that this is kind of his last ride. Maybe he pulls a Favre, because those two are inexplicably linked until the end of time. Maybe he does one more season like Favre did in Minnesota before calling it quits. Maybe Aaron Rodgers goes on that same run like he did, maybe bowing out in the conference championship, tries to run it back one more time. But I mean, I think he is done. He spent 21 seasons in the league now. He's accomplished pretty much anything and everything that he needs to accomplish. 4 MVPs, Super Bowl ring. Many have debated him as the most talented quarterback of all time. Maybe not the greatest, but the most talented for sure. The arm, scrambling ability, the accuracy. And I mean, there are some things, if you want to say, that he could be fighting for. Just got it pulled up right here from NFL.com. Needs 6 passing touchdowns to be 4th all time on the list. 37 if he wants to go to 3rd all time. Just needs just over 1,000 yards to get 5th all time on that passing list. And then just needs a win versus Green Bay. Become the 5th quarterback with victories over all 32 NFL teams. So he does have a few things to play for here in Pittsburgh, but I think aside from that, he's pretty much done everything he needs to do.
G-Mike, man, what do you think? This legacy, is this what do you think about him possibly calling it a career, man?
Yeah, I think he's going to end it for sure. I think he's already obviously at that tail end of his career. I mean, he's super old. You saw it last year and even the season before that when he tore his Achilles and all that. It's good for him to end it how he's going to end it now at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like he had mentioned in that interview in the Pat McAfee show, that it's a cornerstone of the NFL. It's a great franchise. And under Mike Tomlin, who's a Hall of Fame coach, he knows how to win football games. Aaron Rodgers knows how to win football games. And he could be a great mentor for Will Howard, which I think he's going to be a great asset for the Pittsburgh Steelers the next few years to come, maybe the next 10 years. Who knows? But he did really well in Ohio State. He did really well in the national championship. He has a lot of IQ out there on the field. I think he could be a great quarterback. And when you have a mentor like Aaron Rodgers, like BC said, one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history, who is teaching you at the top of the realm, I think is just great for Pittsburgh overall on that offense. And it's a great way for Aaron Rodgers to try to end his legacy in the NFL field. I mean, you got what arguably I think we can all agree with a top 10 defense in this next season coming up. Yeah. They've made moves and they've always been in contention when it comes to their defense. They literally made the playoffs last year just because of their defense. Mm-hmm. So you bring in a superstar quarterback. Yes, he's very old and he's on that tail end of his career. But you bring in a quarterback like that who can maybe do some work and get this offense going. Got a top 10 defense like that, mesh it together, and hey, you're getting an NFC championship run. Who knows? But I think he does call it a quits after this year.
Yeah, and I think what's the interesting with Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is that, you go back to not that long ago, Peyton Manning. You go back to even longer than that, John Elway. A lot of these guys at the tail end of their career, they were on good defensive teams that helped kind of carry it along the way. With John Elway's case, he had Terrell Davis, and they were just smart enough to hand out the ball. I think he only threw for like 124 yards, something along those lines. A lot of these guys that it's all about being able to not make the turnovers and understanding how to actually play the game the right way. So I think if Rodgers' situation with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they've been waiting for a great quarterback for a while. Russell Wilson, you saw, had flashes, and Justin Fields played okay. Neither one of them were horrible. Russell Wilson toward the end, it kind of just looks like it fell apart, and there's a lot of turmoil, I guess, that's been behind the scenes. It's been coming out that him and Arthur Smith didn't really get along. It'll be TBD, say how Aaron Rodgers does, but Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson just command two different respect from the offensive coordinator and the players. I think so. But having said that, though, I think it's going to be an interesting thing for Pittsburgh, because I don't think that this is the worst thing that could have happened for them, because he's not going to make the bad decisions. And I think that him checking in early, and he does seem like he is all in. Just the demeanor that he's having, the interviews, he's shouted out Mike Tomlin completely. And Mike Tomlin's also a guy that's going to demand respect. And he's earned that respect. And I think Rodgers is going to respect that. So I think this is going to be a lot different than the Jets situation. I think Robert Sala's seems like a great guy, a good mentor, good defensive guy, but I just don't think it was ever really going to work with Aaron Rodgers there. If there was another quarterback, maybe. But it seemed like he pretty much just tried to take over the Jets and make him into what he wanted to, and it didn't really work out, obviously. And you never know what could have happened had that Achilles injury not occurred. You never know what could have happened. But we all know how it all ended out. But I think this is going to be a good spot for him here. I do agree. I do think this is the end of the road for him. I do think that he's going to probably come back, and it just depends on how they do. If they're competitive, the wide receivers are going to be an interesting aspect in this. Who are they going to really have? They got DK Metcalf, obviously, one hell of a receiver, but that's where it kind of ends. They got Pat Freiermuth, who was great tight end. I think, and then they also did draft the kid out of Michigan last year. Wilson? But he really didn't even play very much at all. So I think that's going to be a hard part. They might have to try to get some sort of extra veteran wide receiver. They do have Robert Woods as well, but Robert Woods is kind of, he's on the tail end of his career as well. I guarantee most people probably even know he was still in the league, to be honest with you. But having said that, I think this is going to be a good spot for him, and I think that his demeanor and Aaron Rodgers just seems like he's actually having fun again, and you never know what could happen. I mean, he showed still, even though that didn't really go that well last year in New York, like we were saying before. If you look at his numbers, it's actually not as bad as the media and everybody made it out to be. He still had some pretty decent numbers. I've had my share on the show about Aaron Rodgers' attitude and how he is sometimes and stuff, but really his New York Jets experience wasn't that bad. He definitely had some games where this doesn't make any sense at all, but it all wasn't his. It just didn't work out, and sometimes this doesn't. So BC though, man. One other thing about this though, and that's in this division. It's kind of wild to think that Aaron Rodgers is the fourth best quarterback in the division now.
No, I would say he's probably I would say he's the third best, because Cleveland's always going to be a dumpster fire for quarterbacks, no matter.
Yeah, you're right. I was just thinking of Baltimore and Cincinnati. I forgot Cleveland's even in that division for a minute. Yeah, so he'll probably be third then, I guess. But
I will say though, the fact that when not to try to compare this to Brady and everything, but when he came to Tampa, a lot of people were kind of doubting how good the Bucs team was going to be. They thought, oh yeah, they have some young pieces, they have a decent defense, but he's going to be like the third best quarterback in the division. You got Drew Brees, and I think Matt Ryan was still in the Falcons at the time. So he's just going to kind of phase out. This might be like a last gasp or whatever, and then turn out and win a Super Bowl. So it could very well still work. Pittsburgh does have all the pieces, like we said. That defense is going to be potentially top 10, and then again, wide receiver might be a question mark here, there, tight end maybe, but I still think that if there's any player that could go out, with a hurrah, it's Aaron Rodgers. And I think if he does win the Super Bowl, if somehow Pittsburgh wins the Super Bowl this year, I think he retires, he calls it a career, and I think that he does what Brady never could do and go out on top. So.
But another thing that he could do, just like Brady as well, he could make any receiver really look good. Like if you really think about it. So maybe we don't have a wide receiver too that would come up at the top of a head when it comes to Pittsburgh Steelers. But maybe next thing you know, Wilson starts showing out. Maybe they pick up someone from here till preseason, or here till the week 1. Who knows? But Aaron Rodgers is that quarterback that can make any receiver shine. So I wouldn't even put it past them if their passing game is going to be obsolete.
And if he still has zip on the ball, let's face it, DK Metcalf is a down the field threat, and he's a massive dude, so like he's going to be able to get those 50-50 balls, and he's going to be he is going to be their number one, and so like I think if he's able to get that chemistry going, it's very rare those type of athletes like DK Metcalf, his size and his speed. So even Devontae Adams back in his heyday was never the size of Devontae Adams. Or I'm sorry, DK Metcalf. So that's going to be an interesting aspect to this whole thing is DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers. That could be one hell of a fantasy football right there, or what? That could be one hell of a tandem right there, man.
Yep. And again, like G Mike said, they could always do like a mid-season trade. That's what Bucks did with AB. So like it can very well happen, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Pittsburgh get aggressive in doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those divisions though, as well as like I understand why he ended up there because that was pretty much the only thing really left that was available that wanted him, if you will. But man, the defenses are just nasty in that division, man. Like that's going to be hard as hell, especially at his age. Hopefully, he's able to make it through that, because that's not an easy division to play in. That's especially at that age. You're gonna have to hopefully that line holds up.
I mean, it's gonna hold up better than New York. I'll tell you that. Way better than New York.
Yeah. Yeah,
no, I agree as well. And honestly, so do you think that? I mean, I think this goes without saying, but I think everybody's pretty much on the same page. He's first ballot Hall of Fame after this is it, right? I mean, we don't have to have that debate, right? Like that's
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and he's easily one of the greatest quarterbacks as far as talent-wise goes and stuff. I do think his career was a little bit underwhelming as far as rings go, but I mean, let's face it, not everybody can win as many as Brady and Mahomes at this point, and so. Yeah,
everybody can have great defenses as the Patriots did.
Yeah, no, I agree.